Hello, my Sagittarius friends. This is Kristen Redman, Astrological Intuitive, and today we are going to be discussing the planetary aspects that are making an impact for you in 2021. And what a year it is going to be. I mean, 2020 was a year enough, right, for everybody, but there were some powerful eclipses that happened that are really shifting the landscape of just the world as we know it, but they're really making an impact on you because they were happening in your sign of Sagittarius. And eclipses represent new beginnings and growth and change and shift. And so for you, it started to tremble that ground as well. And that continues into 2021, but now it starts to get actual footing to it. And we'll get into that in a little bit here. So, but let's start out here with the most opportune periods for you this year, okay? Where you really can make changes are at the moon cycles, and yours are even more amplified because they're at the time of the eclipses as well. So every month we have a new moon that leads into a full moon, right? And the new moon, that's when there's absolutely no moon in the sky. The sun is completely on the other side of the earth, so you don't even see the moon at night, And so at that time, that's when we spiritual folks say that's when you can plant your seeds of manifestation into that moon. Manifesting means just wishing, sending your wishes out into the universe that I want this to come to light, come to pass. So I am going to put mine in at the Sagittarius new moon. That's what you do, because that's the most powerful time when your seeds are put into the universe even strongest. But it's amplified because it's also going to be the same day as the solar eclipse, and that's on December 4th. So if you have seeds for something new that you want, December 4th is going to be the strongest day for you to do it. And it's amplified times 100 because it also happens to be at the time of an eclipse. This won't happen again for 10 years, okay? Take advantage of that time. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, when the sun is in complete opposition with the moon, that's when the moon is fully illuminated and it's known as a full moon. That's when cycles reach completion, all right? That's when things are at their absolute apex. There's no more to go. That's when, things come to their completion cycle. For you, that's also the day of the lunar eclipse, which is May 26th, which is the first eclipse of this year, which is like way later in the game than they usually are. But so for you, if you're ready to end cycles in your life, like let's say you don't want to smoke anymore, you don't want to overeat anymore. Okay, you're ruled by Jupiter, so it pushes you to do things in excess at times. If you want to see that stop, the full moon is the time to really end that. And because it's amplified by the lunar eclipse behind it, which won't happen again for 10 years, my goodness gracious, you're going to have so much energy behind it to make these changes stop and stick, right? But let's get into it here. So we have got some interesting things. Let's start out with your house of money and finances, okay? Venus is the planet that rules the house of money and finances. And Venus is going to be retrograding two times. It's going to be retrograding this year at the end of 2021. Now, when Venus goes retrograde, that's a time to reassess all of the things that are Venus: love, money, and balance, right? In that time frame, you look and you go, how is this not balanced and how can I make it change? It's the reassessment period. Where that's going to be happening is in your house of finances, okay? So it's definitely a time to really look at the cash flow, how you're spending your money, how you want to change the way that you're spending your money, how you want to switch things up, or maybe at that time at the end of the year, because this is, it's like December. Oh gosh, I don't even have my book. Great time to not have my book here. It's in December and it goes into the beginning part of January of 2022. Really time to reassess that. Now, the second house also has to do with all things that we hold of value, all right? So maybe this will be a time that you decide, yeah, I'm ready to sell some of these. Like maybe I don't need this extra dirt bike. Maybe I don't need this pool table, whatever it is. This would be a time for you to let go of those assets so you can take the money, save it, and really get some solid ground moving forward into 2022. But the second house also deals with self-worth. And with Venus retrograding in your house of self-worth, you may find yourself at the end of the year going, man, this relationship isn't really working for me and I need to really reassess it because I deserve more. I deserve to be treated better. That may come to the forefront as well. Now let's move into the house of home and family since we're talking about love. Jupiter is going to be making a little bit of a surprise, not surprise, but it's going to be making a little visit to your house of home and family May 14th to July 28th. Now, Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the sun, where we take 365 days. So it spends about a year of our time in each one of the zodiac signs. Now, it's going to be going into the sign of Pisces, which rules your house of home and family for a tiny little bit, just for a few, like a couple months this summer. And it's going to give you a preview of what's to come when it actually lands there at the end of the year and stays throughout the remainder of 2022. Jupiter brings luck. Jupiter is your ruling planet, Sagittarius. So when it moves into a new sign, it makes a big impact on you. This time it's going to be going through your house of home and family, and it brings luck and opportunity. It brings generosity. So when it goes through that house of home and family, it really expands your home environment. It makes it more enjoyable. Now, if you don't have a house, Jupiter going into the house of home and family can very well open up opportunities for you to enjoy that gift of home ownership. Maybe you'll finally get the opportunity to do that. Jupiter going through that house of home and family can also expand your family because Jupiter expands what it touches. So maybe this will be a time to have children, or maybe it'll be a time to find that partner to make a home with, you know? So wonderful things with that. Since we're talking so much about love and finding somebody, let's go into the house of marriage and partnerships and relationships, right? Okay, because this is where some of these eclipses are happening, all right? Eclipses are so major. I can't even begin to tell you. This is like the number one thing that we astrologers look at when we look at someone's chart to see what does the coming year have for this person, all right? Now, the eclipses are going to be happening on the axes here. Pretend we got a birth chart here in front of me. If I was to take a Sagittarius chart, just general Sagittarius chart, at the beginning part of that chart is the house of the self, right? Sagittarius, right here. On the opposite end is your opposing sign, Gemini, which is over here in the house of marriage and partnership and relationships. Now, these eclipses happen on these axes. So when we have these eclipses happen, the Gemini one that happens May 26th, it's going to be activating that marriage and partnership house where it hasn't for like 10 years, okay? Trying to bring new energy, new beginnings, and because it has the Gemini flavor, it has a lot to do with communication. So whether it's communicating with somebody to find that person or communicating with your existing partner, the eclipse helps bring that to the surface in that time frame at the end of May, all right, going into June 10th, all right? Now, on the other side of the spectrum where the eclipses are going to be, because we have two of these eclipses that are happening this year for you, it's at the house of self, reevaluating who you are, making improvements, bringing new energy, bringing new opportunities, new things. It's like Jupiter on steroids is what these eclipses are. And as it goes through that self, gosh, I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but that's okay because that's fine. So as it does that, right, all of these new things may come your way. You just have to use your intuition on if this is going to be for the better, highest good of you moving forward, all right? Because there's so much energy that I think the universe made it very painfully obvious what has to be let go in order for these new beginnings to happen. I think it let you know what needs to be let go in 2020, right? Yes, Kristen, you're right. It did. And so it's going to be bringing that chance for you to really let that go, whether it's old beliefs, self-limiting thoughts that you've carried, a person, a work environment, a car, I don't know, you know. It'll come through where the opportunity to actually let go, but something new will come in its place at the time of these eclipses, right? Pay attention to what's happening in that time frame, because if you missed it in 2020, the universe will make it painfully clear at the time of these eclipses, right? May 26th and December 4th are the big ones for you for that. Okay, but the relationship one, of course, is the time of June 10th there. So that's going to be really huge for that. Not only do we have that, but we also have a Mercury retrograde happening at that same time frame in the house of relationships. So a lot of reassessment of how you communicate in relationships at the same time of that eclipse. It wouldn't surprise me if there's arguments, if you have an existing partner where they're like, you don't ever listen to me, or blah, blah, blah. Or because you're the sign of truth and honesty, that maybe some things come to light, because that's what eclipses do. They make things come to light at that time too. Keep an eye out for it, but no matter what, it's going to be seeking truth and honesty for what you need in your partnerships moving forward at that time. So yeah, speaking of communication, you're getting a big overhaul in that too, because we have that planet of yours, Jupiter, right? And it's aligning with Saturn for the first time in 30 years. 30 years the sky's aligning in your house of communication. Now, as it does that, it triggers new ways of thinking. Remember we talked before about how you can have self-limiting beliefs? We all can, okay? But for Sagittarius, it's very easy to get lost in the darkness at times and really limit yourself based off of these tiny boxes that you could put yourself in, right? This type of energy where your ruling planet Jupiter aligns with the planet of Saturn pushes you and stretches that comfort zone, those self-limiting beliefs, and says, this doesn't work. This doesn't work for me anymore. I need to go beyond this. I need to tell myself a different story. I need to tell myself a different way of thinking. Oh my gosh. I need to tell myself to take a drink. Oh my gosh. I'm getting ahead of myself. Excuse me. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's take a drink. Now, because this is going to be aligning with Saturn. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, okay, and responsibility and limitations. So this communication could be around that. Maybe to defeat these old ways of thinking or communicating, you need to set new boundaries with yourself. You need to set new boundaries with others. Maybe it's something where you need to communicate. Maybe you've been putting too many restrictions on yourself, or maybe you need to start putting more restrictions on yourself in order to really move forward, because what Saturn's trying to do is trying to change that thought pattern and that process. So the next 30 years, your thinking is a little bit more logical, a little more long-term, and thinking of the things that I think and say now are going to make an impact down the road. Maybe that's something you want to shift and change, right? Yeah, so then on the opposite side of it is the 9th house, right? Where this guy is making an impact, saying traveling, right? You being able to actually travel, because you need to do that as a Sagittarius for you to be happy on the inside. I am telling you, travel is necessary. And it was so interesting that last year, as we have these first eclipses in your sign that haven't happened for 10 years, you can't travel because of COVID, right? But that doesn't stop you from traveling in the mind, right? You were able to explore new ideas, explore different cultures, explore different things. Even if it's just through the internet or through a book, you're able to do that. But into 2021, you should be able to start traveling more, and you'll find that you learn a lot about yourself through these travels, and you'll gain clarity on you and yourself moving forward through those. So now let's look at specific birthdays. Okay, now everything I just told you is very generic to all Sagittarius, okay? But if you want to know more about your specific chart, which I call your roadmap, it's based off of your specific birth date, time, and location. And it sets this chart for me to know What is your marriage house? What is your house of money? What is your house of travel? What is your house of work and children and all of the things that make us who we are? Astrology is the study of the personality. If you want to know more about how these specific things are impacting your chart and what's coming up for you specifically in 2021, I highly advise getting a reading. There's a link below. Click on it. It'll take you to me. We can do a Zoom session or phone session, and eventually, sometime soon, we'll be able to do in-person sessions again too. But anyway, regardless. But this is very generic for certain birthdays for Sagittarius. So if your birthday falls between November 25th and December 6th this year, Saturn is going to be making a very good connection with your sun. Now, this is where you are entering a 30-year cycle of new levels of responsibility, but also new levels of maturity and understanding. You really understood last year of what certain aspects need to be released in order for the new to come in into your life. Be clear to the universe about what you are willing to take on and what you aren't. And you are ready to be very clear with others too. I'm sorry, that's your responsibility, not mine, and I don't want to take that. That's absolutely fine for you to do. Healthy boundaries is what Saturn is all about, and the more healthy boundaries you set with others and yourself, the better off and the happier you will be, right? Absolutely. So you also, because Saturn's working with you, you have a long-term focus. You are very much focused on the next 30 years thanks to this energy as well too. Very good energy. Now, November 26th through December 22nd, so pretty much all of Sagittarius here, Jupiter is making a really good connection. Your ruling planet, lucky planet Jupiter, is making a good connection with your Sagittarian sun, stretching you beyond that comfort zone that you're used to being, pushing you outside of those self-limiting beliefs that we talked about before. Very strong this year, and luck is on your side. Big time, big time. If your birthday falls between December 11th and December 16th, Dreamy Neptune is going to be squaring your sun. So this is going to be a year of spiritual exploration, mystic exploration, and at times there can be some confusion that may come that Neptune brings, because it kind of puts you in a fog for a little bit. The best thing that you can do is surrender aspects of your identity that no longer serve you. Surrender those parts that are holding you back, all right? You may not have that clarity on those self-limiting beliefs and the limitations that you've put on yourself or others. You could fall in this category. Just surrender to the fear of not knowing or the unknowing. And the more that you do that, the more that your spirit guides can help you to gain greater clarity. All right. Regardless, Sagittarius, no matter what birthday you're on, new beginnings are beginning to unfold for you this year. And if you want greater clarity on that, please contact me for a reading. But other than that, I thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a year of abundance, health, and happiness. Thank you.